Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as the rest of this weekend will be fairly decent, fairly sunny, fairly warm. However, through Sunday evening into Monday it will be turning a lot more unsettled with the westerly winds coming back in, and through most of next working week it is looking really unsettled and potentially quite stormy as well. There is the potential we could see a named storm around Tuesday or Wednesday time. Still a lot of uncertainty with that. Some runs just keeping us generally unsettled and breezy. Others keeping us really quite stormy with an actual real centre of a low moving in, giving some really dangerous gusts of 50, 60, 70 miles per hour inland. So we'll have a look at what the UKV is showing today, and we'll go through the various longer range runs, see what they're producing for the lower pressure next week. As we head into the longer range, though, as we will see on those longer range runs and the ensembles, it is looking like it's going to get pretty warm towards the middle of the month. But we're unsure whether it's going to be an unsettled warmer pattern, so low pressure running in off the Atlantic but drawing up southwesterlies, or whether it's going to be more of a Euro high, so high pressure building in from Europe and giving us a southerly flow, so warmer and drier. All the runs sort of flip-flopping between different patterns at this stage. The only certainty we do have is looking likely to be average or above average for most areas. We are very uncertain whether it's going to be high pressure, low pressure. So we could be seeing mid-20s within the next week or two, or equally we could be seeing some big, heavy thunderstorms with that warm air injecting into these low pressure systems come a week or two's time. So we'll keep an eye on that and we'll see what the latest runs are showing. So do remember, if you enjoy videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if you do start on the live radar, you can see at the moment it is really quite pleasant for today, Saturday. A lot of sunshine around, still a bit of cloud in places, but once again nothing too much. Most areas seeing some blue sky around. There are areas of rain moving into the west, so the initial weather fronts moving in, but we see a proper large weather front moving through all areas through Sunday into Monday. Now, if you put on the temperatures, you'll be able to see at the moment, it's around 12:30 as I'm recording this, it is fairly nice out there. A lot of yellows appearing, indicating those temperatures into the mid-teens, and could even get up to the high teens tomorrow, maybe peaking around 16 to 18 degrees somewhere in England or Wales for Easter Sunday. So really quite nice, potentially the warmest day of the year so far. Again, nothing too spectacular. We do generally see 20 degrees this time of year, or even a little bit earlier. I did see a stat where it did say that this year so far, our warmest temperature has been about 16.5 degrees in London, and that's sort of, I think, second or third coolest in the last sort of 10 or 15 years. So we haven't had the warmest conditions so far this spring, but hopefully over the coming days and the coming weeks we will see something a little bit warmer, and it is inevitable as we do head towards the summer months. But at the moment it's fairly decent, fairly warm, and that will continue into tomorrow. Now, if you go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see it is bone dry at the moment, and that will continue through most of today. There will be some cloud around, especially further westwards, where those weather fronts are trying to nudge in, and they will continue to try and make progress through this evening into tomorrow, and could give a few areas of lighter rain, a few showers in places through tomorrow. But into tomorrow afternoon, you see the weather front does arrive through parts of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So unfortunately for those areas through Easter Sunday, it is going to be quite unsettled and quite miserable. However, most areas further eastwards, it's still going to be fairly pleasant. Bit more cloud though, unfortunately. There still could be some areas of sunshine in there, but still a lot more cloud building in, unfortunately. And you can see that weather front, and it then eventually starts to really push through, and a lot of light to moderate rain through all areas through Sunday into Monday. And then we go into the very unsettled spell. Through Monday afternoon, we see more heavy rain in the far southeast, and a lot of heavy, maybe even thundery showers in places. So if you have got plans for Monday afternoon, still a bank holiday for most areas, it's not going to be the best. There still will be some sunshine around, still be some warmer weather around, but equally there'll be some very heavy thunderstorms and showers around in general, and yeah, won't be all too pleasant if you do get caught in some of these showers. You can see those brighter colours appearing, again indicating some really quite torrential rain, maybe thundery weather, as I said, but we will just have to see. It will be fairly hit and miss. Through Monday afternoon, evening into Tuesday, you do see those cloud showers do clear away, but into Tuesday morning into the afternoon, another big area of rain arrives from the southwest. Now this is this potential named storm we are looking at. Now, some of the other ones we'll see in a minute do not produce this centre of the low at all. We're still under low pressure, deep low pressure, still gusty winds, 30, 40 miles per hour, but nothing really too special because it doesn't develop this low along the jet stream. However, the UKV is, and you can see what that causes. Big area of rain through Tuesday evening into Wednesday, torrential rain in places, and even some snowfall through northern England into Scotland over the higher ground as it does try and whip in some cooler air from the north, and very low heights as well, drops at freezing level. So could be a bit of unexpected snow with this sort of pattern. But we will have to see with that. I wouldn't guarantee that guarantee that at all. But just if this exact pattern came off, there is the potential there. But it's those gusty winds that we'll see in a minute. Very strong winds as this does clear and eventually clear into the North Sea. Very unsettled, blustery, stormy conditions through Tuesday into Wednesday. Really not too nice to be out in that. Again, look at the mean sea level pressure. You can see that low approaching from the southwest, getting down to sort of 980 millibars or so towards the centre before clearing away and actually deepening as it heads into the North Sea down to around 970 millibars. So quite a low pressure system there. Quite a big low pressure system, and then eventually moving out into the North Sea with those northerly winds. If you have a look at the wind gusts, you can see through Tuesday, nothing too special through the afternoon, but it's as we head towards the evening, 40, 50, maybe 60 mile per hour gusts start to arrive from the southwest, and they do head northwards. The big thing I would say with this is those inland gusts. Towards the coast, we do regularly see 50, 60, 70 miles per hour with low pressure systems, but it's in towards inland areas, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour as these areas of rain move in, and that would warrant a yellow warning at least, if not perhaps in some areas seeing 60 or 70 miles per hour, an amber warning. You can just see the widespread wind field here of 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts inland and stronger towards coastal areas, and even higher, maybe 60 or 70 mile per hour in places. So yeah, this just shows you what could happen if that low does develop, but I must emphasise that not all runs have this low developing exactly where it is and to this exact intensity. As I said, as it clears, we do get another big whip up of those winds coming in from the northerly direction before it eventually does clear out into the North Sea, but keeping us quite unsettled as we're still under lower pressure. Now if you look at the temperatures, you'll be able to see that at the moment is fairly decent, 14, 15 degrees out there this afternoon, really quite nice in that sunshine. Into tomorrow, temperatures overnight, mid-single digits, nothing too cold, but nothing too warm equally. And then into Sunday afternoon, once again, those temperatures really quite pleasant, 16, 17, or maybe even isolated 18 degrees. So really quite nice through Easter Sunday. However, into Monday, it will be cooling down a bit, with that rain moving in and a slightly cooler air mass. You see into the afternoon temperatures more around that sort of 12 to maybe 14, or even peaking maybe at 15 degrees. But under showers, it won't feel all too pleasant. Into Tuesday, could be a bit of a frost in places in the north, with a bit of a cooler air mass. And into Tuesday afternoon again, 10 to maybe as high as 14 degrees. But once again, it won't feel all too warm because we've got cloud and rain around. And then finally into Wednesday, quite cold overnight, frost in many areas in the north and the west. And then into Wednesday afternoon, you could see through North England, southern Scotland there, hovering around freezing, and that's because we've got evaporative cooling and a generally cold air mass. We'll have a look at that air mass in a second, but yeah, pretty chilly there, and elsewhere maybe only 6 to 10 degrees as that does whip through. Again, you look at those upper air temperatures, you can see the -5 isotherm comes in on the back side of that low. Really quite chilly conditions do prevail there. Again, just showing you that we can still get quite cold air this time of year. Again, in the winter, this would probably produce more widespread snow, but being into the middle of April, really only exclusively over higher ground. But again, must emphasise, this is only one run. Things are changing very quickly, and this low may not develop at all from the looks of some other runs today. So do have a look now at the GFS and see what that is producing over the course of the next couple of weeks. Now you can see the high pressure over the top of us at the moment, low pressure running through over the coming days, and it does develop this low over the top of us before clearing into the North Sea. Really quite intense, very unsettled conditions with this. Eventually does clear, we stay pretty unsettled for a few days, but as we get towards day 10, we see the Euro high build. So this was said there is uncertainty over whether it's a Euro high building or whether low pressure runs in still. Here we see southerly winds, you look at the upper air temperatures, very warm. It could even be heat wave levels with this. The temperatures get towards the mid-20s, or heat wave for the time of year. So yeah, really, really quite warm. And yeah, seeing the 15-degree isoform getting dragged up, or even the 20-degree isoform getting into parts potentially of the southern Portugal and southern Spain, really quite warm, and that eventually does get pushed away by a westerly flow, but keeps us fairly settled and fairly warm all the way until towards the end of April. Again, one deterministic run, but just showing you there is the potential for a lot warmer, a lot drier through April, but there is huge uncertainty with what the jet stream will do. If you do look at the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, low pressure running in off the Atlantic over the coming days. Very unsettled, but you can see a little kink in the ice bar. That's where that low has developed on other runs. But here, not developing as much. We do zoom into the United Kingdom look. You can see a little low developing there, but still generally low pressure, still unsettled, and still fairly gusty, but nothing as severe as it could have been with that low developing. So this is why I said there is a huge uncertainty whether we do see the low develop, and if it does develop as intensely. One guarantee is it will be quite unsettled and probably fairly stormy in places, but whether it will be anything named, or whether it will be as gusty as that UKV was showing, we will have to see. Beyond that, as we head through the rest of the week, fairly unsettled, perhaps even another strong low pressure system moving there through Saturday, and then eventually high pressure does try and build in, but looks quite a flimsy high as it ridges northwards with a westerly flow looking like it will probably move back in. So yeah, not looking all too good there, and yeah, not amazing up towards day 10. So if you do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare over the coming days. Again, high pressure building in at the moment, but low pressure running in over the coming days. Again, not seeing that centre of the low really developing. Still very low pressure, still very unsettled, but not quite seeing that low develop as much. And then another low moves in on Friday into Saturday, and that could be really quite severe. There's that moves into another stormy spell. So a good stormy spell for you coming this week. That looks really quite likely here. And then eventually into the longer range, we could see that Euro high develop, but equally that low pressure is tantalisingly close. Again, very similar to the GFS, drawing up a very warm southerly wind. And again, look at that temperature deviation. Really quite warm, so we'll have to see what that does hold for the middle of the month, but it could be really quite warm or even quite hot for the time of year. But again, must emphasize big uncertainty with it, and we will have to see. If we do finish by looking at the ensembles haven't fully updated, so we'll just refresh the page, and you can see how it's around average, slightly above, slightly below over the coming week, but as we get towards the middle and end of the month, you see that big positive anomaly, a good 5 degrees above average, if not higher, with some runs getting towards that 10 to 15 degree range. That is incredibly warm in the summer. That would get temperatures in around the 30-degree mark through the summer, but being in April, more likely mid-20s. So we'll have to see, but looking increasingly warm, and there is actually a bit of a drying signal appearing. More dry than it was yesterday, so interesting seeing that, but again, we can't rule out that westerly flow. Again, we look at the sea level pressure, you can see that dip next week, so regardless if we do see a named storm, it's going to be very unsettled and probably quite stormy in places. And then again, if we do have a look at the wind speeds, you can see that peak in wind gusts next week, starting as early as Monday, but continue all the way to sort of Thursday, Friday time. And again, we look at the 2-meter temperatures. Pretty cool this week. Temperatures struggling into the low double digits, but into the longer term, look at that. A lot of runs getting up towards the mid to high teens, if not getting into the low 20s. And once again, these ensembles, not particularly high resolution. High resolution runs will be a couple of degrees higher. And if we finally just compare it to the ECMWF, again, very similar, average to slightly above or slightly below over the coming week. And then a big positive anomaly towards the middle to end of the month, with the potential for some very warm runs appearing. More precipitation here, but that is expected with 50 ensemble members more than the GFS, as GFS has only 30. But again, can't rule out that unsettled pattern. We will have to see. And again, if we just keep up on the lower pressure signal, again, you can see 2 distinct dips, when we could potentially see that low move through on Tuesday, Wednesday, and again that new low appearing on Friday. Again, could both be quite unsettled, stormy periods, and they could be named, but we'll have to see some more consistency in these runs before we see any warnings or any namings issued by the Met Office. As said in yesterday's video, probably Sunday, maybe Monday, we'll see some warnings or namings for Tuesday, Wednesday's system, and then probably towards early to middle of next week for Friday's system, which is newly cropping up on the models in the last 24 hours, and we'll have to keep a very close eye on it. So quite a lot going on over the next couple of weeks. Very unsettled over the coming days, or at least very warm and dry the next 2 days, before turning very unsettled into next week. Beyond that, it could turn warmer and drier as we head towards the middle to end of the month, which I think a lot of people would be looking forward to. But once again, as ever with the UK's weather, it is very unsettled, and very small shifts in jet stream and positioning of high pressure, low pressure could bring unsettled conditions back in and sort of ruin any chances of anything warmer or drier towards the middle of the month. So we will have to see what happens, but at this stage we've just got to keep an eye on the runs. The only certainty we do have is that it's going to be quite unsettled and probably quite stormy this upcoming working week. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.